esteemed guests, welcome to the 75th National Book Awards ceremony. Please give a warm welcome to Grammy and Academy Award-winning singer, songwriter, and composer, Jon Batiste.
Hearing something right now. The glasses. I need to take your fork and your knife and your glass. Now that becomes your drum right now. This song was composed by Beethoven. And then I took it and I added 250 years of music to it. And this in particular is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony in the Congo Square. I'm from New Orleans, so this rhythm, something that I grew up with, but it came all the way from the African diaspora, and it's beautiful because it's the odd against the even rhythm. It's the two against the three, marches against the waltz, and it creates one rhythm. So y'all doing the two, it sounded like a cowbell and a bell pattern. I'm glad y'all got good rhythm, so keep that. And I'm gonna put the three on the top of it like this here. 1, 2, 3. Well, I would like to invite to the stage my good friend who cares about books just as much as I do, and I know we all do. In the world, we need it the most right now. I'm so glad to be here with y'all. I love you even if I don't know you. We share this message of love and hope and togetherness and literary rigor and excellence in thought and truth. So thank you so much for your work. Please welcome to the stage, Kate McKinnon.
Woo! Thank you, Jon. He's pretty good. My name is Kate. Hi, it's nice to be. I am a Book Awards virgin, so be gentle. I'm going to put on these glasses, which are fake glasses that I wear to feel smarter, because I am the dumbest person in this room. Good evening. Tonight, we come together to celebrate the power of storytelling, the way it connects us, challenges us, and transforms us. As we gather in this room, surrounded by some of the most talented and visionary authors of our time, we are reminded that books do more than entertain. They illuminate, they provoke, and most importantly, they inspire change. That was written by ChatGPT. Is that bad? I didn't know. I was so intimidated. I didn't know what to say at the opening, and I was telling my friend about it, and he asked the robot. And that's what the robot said. I don't use ChatGPT because I find it distasteful and frightening, and because I have an iPhone 7, a platform that does not even support emojis. In any case, woo! This is not your mama's book awards. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Who's drunk? Woo! Okay, it really is an honor to be here tonight. As a sketch comedian, there are a few calls that you wait for. The call to join the cast of Saturday Night Live, the call to, thank you, to play an outlandish side character in a blockbuster film, and of course, the call to host the National Book Award! I told the producers of this event, you know the high point of my career was wearing Ryan Gosling's genitals as a hat on live TV. I don't know that I have the requisite gravitas to host the National Book Awards. And they said, we know. They said they wanted something fun and light. And I said, oh, to distract from the fact that the world is a bonfire and we're just tossing more wood on? And they said yes, in a way that suggested that maybe they regretted the call. But I wanted to be here because books do so many things. They inspire, they transport, they kill spiders when you can't find a shoe. I was told that this event is like the Oscars of books. I said, okay, so what's the budget for my opening number? Do I get backup dancers, how many, et cetera? And they said, we can provide granola bars for the rehearsal. But John Cena is here, and he will be naked. I'm kidding. Hey, yeah. I technically did join the literary world this year. I published a middle grade novel. That was the most work. Thank you. I'm sure you guys have heard of this, but it's so much work to write a book. I wanted to write a book for young readers because when I was young, books did save my life. Thank you. I was choking on a fig Newton, and the woman babysitting me hit me hard on the back with a copy of Beowulf, and the Newton was dislodged. But seriously, I wasn't sure why I wanted to write a book. I just knew that I had a burning itch to communicate and connect that could only be scratched by telling a story and sharing it. Why do we continue to write books? There are movies. I mean, aren't there already enough books? People are leaving these things in laundry rooms, you know? And yet we continue because the world spins on, offering us new situations ranging from the tricky to the horrific. And I think ultimately we tell stories because we want to help. A book is an offering. It's a hand in the darkness, a way of saying, I know, isn't this crazy? And that's something that a robot will never be able to do because, thank you, yes. Robots do not know what it's like to be certain you're going to die one day. Robots do not experience racism or food insecurity. Robots do not lose their partners, weep over election results, or receive a devastating diagnosis. Most of all, robots do not know what it's like to confidently walk up to someone and say, "Hi, Abigail," only to learn that the person is named Suzanne. But we know these things. People know these things. And so until we have solved the problems of death and loneliness and their byproducts, war and climate change, sensitive souls will continue to offer their theses of how to make the most of our fragile and fleeting time on this burning planet surrounded by other frightened hearts. And in that way, writing a book is nothing short of an act of kindness. So please give yourselves a round of applause for your kind impulse to reach out into the darkness. Okay. Enough from the comedian. We are going to begin tonight with the presentation of the 2 Lifetime Achievement Honors given by the National Book Foundation. First is the 2024 Literarian Award for Outstanding Service to the American Literary Community, presented in recognition of the honoree's dedication to expanding the audience for books and reading, which is, as Martha Stewart would say, a very good thing. Past recipients include Dr. Maya Angelou, Carolyn Reedy, Doran Weber, and most recently, Paul Yamazaki of City Lights Booksellers and Publishers. Tonight's recipient is a lifelong advocate for Black and African diasporic stories through his work as a bookseller, librarian, instructor, editor, and publisher. Here to present the literarian this evening is 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award honoree Walter Mosley. Walter Mosley is an award-winning author of over 60 acclaimed books of fiction, including the upcoming Been Wrong So Long It Feels Like Right, as well as works of nonfiction and plays. His work has been translated into 25 languages. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage Walter Mosley.
I didn't know there was going to be music. They have it on this thing, but I'm going to read my paper. It says almost exactly the same thing. Because I always get the feeling, don't you get the feeling like when you come and they say they want to see it so they can, but just because they can put it up here so you can read it, that they really want to make sure what you're saying isn't going to embarrass anybody? Anyway, I recently had occasion to call Paul Coates a warrior publisher. The Black man who traded in the term slave for enslaved. The Black Panther who was on many a hit list. The man that brought literature into prisons, literature that most people didn't and still don't know exists. Paul Coates, who virtually bled his own blood to ink his own printing presses and who worked shoulder to shoulder with world-shattering writers, editors, his own family, and those of us of the diaspora around the world. Paul Coates, who is still the only black publisher in America that prints his own books, this because he would not let our truths be bought out from under us or sabotaged. And when I say our truths, I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about living history that has been erased, eradicated, murdered, and then resurrected in the form of zombie lies. Paul shares information that every man, woman, and most especially every child in America, and therefore the world, must know if they want their souls to survive. Paul Coates, who will publish you when he is flush and when he is penniless. Paul Coates, who decides what he will publish based on the quality of the truth of that work. Paul Coates, a man who believes in you even if you don't believe in yourself, who believes in you even if he doesn't like you. These beliefs are grounded in his faith in social evolution, not personal gain. Paul Coates, the warrior publisher, cannot be bought out or put out of business. How many of us can say that? How many people in this room love every minute of self-sacrifice? How many people pile up the debt to pay off the weightier obligations of our people? How many can be that serious, that political, and still find time to laugh and love and keep the faith? Paul has lived a life of service. Most people in the modern world are confused and befuddled because their hearts and minds are filled with so much misinformation that most of what they see and believe isn't even there. They say, I'm worth so much because my paycheck says so, that one over there must love or hate me because I feel the same for them, that the system I serve must be valid because if that was not true, my life would be worthless. Paul Coates has taught me that none of that is true, or maybe that most of it is not. He has done so by working side by side with me, extolling the greatness of others doing similar work, who served on the National, we served on the National Book Awards together. We've published together, introduced each other at various times. I love Paul Coates. I admire him. But most of all, I respect how he has imbibed the harsh liquor of true citizenship and survived. In other words, his life and work gives hope to anyone who would dare to explore the dark spaces between the lines that demarcate the lies. Paul Coates.
I really don't know who Walter was talking about. Man, when Walter has done introductions before, I'm usually looking for somebody to come in with a cape, you know, because he's talking about Superman, and I sat there shrinking in my chair, okay? But I thank you, and I thank everyone tonight for this honor. I'm gonna try this teleprompter. I'm gonna try to be braver than Walter, and I'm gonna try to do this thing. So let me begin with a bunch of thank yous, and by acknowledging someone who is here tonight only in spirit. Glenn Thompson of Writers and Readers Press. Glenn was half insane and a fanatic about Black book publishing. Dan Simon, Kasahun Chacol, and I flew to London in 2001 to be with Glenn as he became an ancestor. His spirit and his commitment to always move Black book publishing higher is ever present, and it's alive in this room tonight. I also want to thank my wonderful wife who's at the table with me, Rosalind Coates, for always supporting me in my doubting times and just being there as love for me. She represents love. I also love Walter Mosley. I mean, I really love this guy. We published Gone Fishing together 28 years ago, Gone Fishing and Easy Rawlins prequel. We came together and became friends and brothers. My journey through life is better because of you, Walter Mosley, and I appreciate you so much. And let me thank the National Book Foundation and its board for this year's celebration and for the work you do every day to make this world livable for the entire literary community. I thank you for that work and for your acknowledgement of me. Neil Baldwin, former director of the National Book Foundation, Brenda Green from National Black Writers Conference, Troy Johnson of AALBC, and Publishers Group West, our distributor. Thank you guys for being here, lending me your support. Black Classic Press is part of a group of old-line Black book publishers that includes Third World Press, Africa World Press, and Just Us Books. These legacy publishers are survivors from the civil rights and human rights battles of the 60s and the 70s. Along with newer presses like Universal Right Press, we work every day to maintain and expand Black self-narrating voices. We each have a different focus. My focus is resistive Black voices that assert and confirm the right of Black people to advocate and express themselves in a world quick to deny our humanity. For Black people, our enslavement was what we call the Ma'afa, a great catastrophic event. To survive that great disaster, my ancestors had to have stories of something better, stories of the past and stories of the future, which during the Ma'afa could only be expressed aspirationally. Despite penalties of torture and death, those aspirations later found their way into print as stories about ourselves and our view of the world from our perspective. My ancestors understood the power in Frederick Douglass asking what to the slave is the 4th of July, and Sojourner Douglas asking emphatically, ain't I a woman? They cherished the fundamental rights of free people everywhere, the right to speak in our own voice, in our own style, without the permission of others, especially those who sought to keep us enslaved, ban our aspirations, our books, and our humanity. Using self-narrating voices in 1827, John Russwurm and Samuel Cornish founded Freedom's Journal. With the Declaration, we wish to plead our own cause. For too long, others have spoken for us. David Walker used that voice in 1829 and Marcus Garvey in 1919. Carter G. Woodson captured and used it in 1921 when he formed the Associated Publishers to publish books written from the perspective of our self-narrating voices. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Fannie Lou Hamer were those voices when they truth-told Black aspirations, sharing them with America and the world. It took me a while to figure out, because I am a late-coming follower, that I also am in that tradition. My mission is recovery and making Black self-narrating voices known to the world. I am not an interpreter. I prefer to let those voices speak to new generations for themselves. I obsessively curate those voices, especially the old, forgotten, radical, and less popular ones. The more obscure they are, the more important they are in my quest. Those voices are all Black classics to me. I publish them knowing that they are critical to fully understanding and making sense of the brightly colored mosaic that is American and world history. If those voices are not present, the result is a drabbed, washed out monotone of history and a narration where some awful person steps up and insists that slavery was a necessary experience that taught Black people many valuable skills. I can't let that happen. To do this work and to be supported by my community as I have been since 1972, and to be recognized for that work tonight is humbling. It is also a reminder that all voices are important and that all stories are important. Thank you all, and thanks again to the National Book Foundation.
It's incredible. We will continue tonight's celebrations with the presentation of the 2024 Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters. Each year, the medal's given to a writer who has enriched our shared literary and cultural heritage over the course of their career. Previous recipients include Toni Morrison, Isabel Allende, Art Spiegelman, and most recently, National Humanities Medalist, Pulitzer Prize winner, and National Book Award finalist Rita Dove. Tonight's honoree has offered us some of the most significant literature of the 21st century, ranging from fiction to poetry to investigative journalism to science writing. Here to present the medal this evening is Sam Stoloff. Sam Stoloff is the president and principal of the Francis Golden Literary Agency, founded by Francis Golden in 1977. Sam joined the agency in 1997 and is a member of the board of directors of the Association of American Literary Agents. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Sam Stoloff.
They didn't tell me when I first became a literary agent that this was part of the job description, or I might have chosen a different line of work. We agents are more used to hiding comfortably in the acknowledgments sections of our authors' books, rather than standing up on stage, introducing them. I owe my place here on this stage to Barbara Kingsolver, of course, but also to Francis Golden, the founder of the agency I now head, who some of you, of course, knew. When Barbara was first looking for a literary agent in the 1980s, back when people still looked for agents in literary reference books, one listing jumped out at her. It read, in part, "No racist, sexist, ageist, homophobic, or pornographic material considered." And Barbara said, "Bingo. That's the agent for me." Frances was not only a fierce advocate for Barbara's work, but something of a Jewish mother to both Barbara and me, and that's the thread that connects us. If she could have been here, she would have been quelling. Barbara Kingsolver's contributions to American letters since then have been amazingly varied, far more than I could do justice to. But what I would say above all is that Barbara has always been ahead of her time, showing us the way. She was reviving the social novel at a time when ironic detachment and introspection were still very much the literary fashion, starting with her first novel, The Bean Trees, which among other things portrayed the sanctuary movement protecting Central American political refugees. And later in the majestic The Poisonwood Bible, which skewered the arrogance of American imperial exceptionalism. She was writing fiction about climate change before cli-fi was a thing, in novels like Flight Behavior, which sounded an early alarm about how environmental disasters would devastate human communities in ways we see so clearly now. Because she trained as a biologist, her writing has always been clear-eyed about the ways humans are embedded in ecosystems, rather than standing apart from them. She was advocating for local and seasonal eating when locavorism was still a new idea. In the memoir she wrote with her family, Animal Vegetable Miracle, about the year they spent eating only what could be grown near their home. She's a writer-farmer in the tradition of her fellow Kentuckian, Wendell Berry. She eats from her garden, as those of you who follow her on Instagram have seen, and she knits with wool from the sheep that she raises. She was writing about the dispossession of rural working people long before we all became preoccupied with the regional schisms in our country, starting with her very first book, Holding the Line, about a copper mine strike in Arizona. And all of these themes are gathered in her most recent novel, the stunning Demon Copperhead. Although inspired by Charles Dickens, the original novelist of social protest, the book has as much kinship with Mark Twain. In Demon's astonishingly original voice, Barbara has given us the Huck Finn of our times. She has done all this with a warmth and humor, an uncanny ear for Appalachian speech, a wealth of vivid metaphor, and an aphoristic wit that are her trademarks. I am glad that the National Book Foundation calls this a prize for distinguished contribution rather than lifetime achievement, although they also do call it that, if you look closely at the website. Artists are naturally superstitious about having their work prematurely summed up, but Barbara is at the height of her powers, and so we have so much more to look forward to. And with that, it is my honor to present, on behalf of the National Book Foundation, the Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters to my dear friend, the great Barbara Kingsolver.
Thanks, Sam. Sorry I made you do that, but you knocked it out of the park. You all look so beautiful for people who usually go to work in sweatpants, right? Or is that just me? This is an honor I never imagined and will never forget. And I am so grateful to all the people that Paul had the gracious presence of mind to thank. I thank them too. The implication of an award like this, as Sam implied, is that you've been around for a lifetime. And I have. I've written through crises that seemed unsurvivable to me, through administrations that rose and fell. I've seen total eclipses of the sun. So I know that when everything goes dark, the sun's still up there. When I was new to this profession, the credited goal of our art was to be perfect and contained and morally disengaged. Art that made people uncomfortable was likely to get scolded by critics. I know this from experience. But it's all I knew how to do. I come from people who aren't in this room, who've never been in a room like this, or in this city, or maybe not in any city, maybe not even very far from where they were born. I write with their hearts in my throat, the kinds of stories that I grew up hungry for, underpinned with hard questions about class and power, and how we got to this place where so many people are left outside hungry. And readers got it. They lived in that world too, and booksellers, and librarians, and my wonderful publisher, HarperCollins, has always had my back. But there were headwinds. The headwinds were always there. The people that are there to let you know you're not going to get in the club if you talk that much about ordinary folk. I have lived long enough to see that change. Maybe those critics retired. Or maybe so many writers pulled up their chairs to the table, so many of you, that we had to get a new table. The rowdy one, where we ask the big, scary, uncomfortable questions and stake our hearts on the people and the places that really need us. Artists get called a lot of dreamy things. We're lighthouses, we're visionaries, we are soothers of the savage breast. Maybe. But I think we're at our best when we're disruptors. When we rattle self-absorption and the lazy belief that my best interests are everybody's best interests. We get to crack people open, what Doris Lessing called unselfing. We use our best beautiful tricks to lure people into letting go of themselves for a little while so they can look into the soul of another human. Because that empathy, my friends, is our salvation. As James Baldwin told us, we are still each other's only hope. The fact of me standing here with you, with this old medal around my neck, feels like a miracle to a country girl from Kentucky in the disguise of a sparkly dress. And I'm so happy, not so much for me, but for all of us, and the seismic shift in the rules of our art and who gets to play. I'm proud of the respect we have finally learned to give in this country to art that engages with the real ruckus of the world. The thrill of that engagement gets me up in the morning and will keep getting me up for all the tomorrows I have, which I'm banking on a good many of them, even on the days when I've been smacked down for the truths I believe in and the people and the places I love. And I'll confess, I'm feeling smacked down at the moment. And maybe you are too. Here's what I know. Truth and love have been struck down so many times in history before now. Truth because it's often inconvenient, and love because it's vulnerable. But truth is like gravity and the sun behind the eclipse. It doesn't matter what rules people make up. It's still there. And love stays alive if you tend it. Our job is to remember what there is to love, the people and places that need us to bring them into the room. into the heart of the unacquainted stranger. Our job is to invent a better ending than the sorry one we were given. Nobody can take care of everything at once, but it's still worth taking care of something, because there are so many of us to do it. We're not erased. We're still here, like gravity, like the sun behind the eclipse. Thank you.
Please welcome David Steinberger, Chair of the National Book Foundation's Board of Directors.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the National Book Foundation, welcome to the 75th National Book Awards. So 75 years. Okay, where are my friends from Hachette and David Shelley? Where are you guys? Over here. Okay, so David moved from the UK to the US about a year ago, right? So I felt I had to explain to him that I understand in the UK 75 years is not that big a deal, right? Because like Twining's tea, they started making it in 1700 or 1705 or something. So if you're not from the 1700s or the 1600s, no one gets that excited. But here in the United States of America, 75 years is a really big deal. And to get to 75 years, you need a lot of help from a lot of people, so I get to say thank you. And I want to start by saying thank you to everybody who's with us tonight, the 800 people who are in the room, and the people who are joining us, thousands of them, from their homes. So thank you for being here with us. And thank you to all our sponsors who make this evening possible. Particularly want to thank our platinum sponsors, so the Najafi companies, thank you. Thank you to Penguin Random House. Thank you to our gold sponsor, Amazon Literary Partnership. Our silver sponsors, Amazon MGM Studios, Barnes & Noble, BPG, USA, Central National Gotsman. Thank you, Macmillan Publishers, and Simon & Schuster. Thank you all. Okay, thank you also to the following individuals for their exceptional generosity: Karen and Marcus Dole, the Stephen M. and Joyce E. Tadler Charitable Trust, the Susan S. and Kenneth L. Wallach Foundation. Tell Susan that we thanked her, please, Ken. And Deborah Wiley, thank you. And one final thank you. I'm going to ask some of the people in this room to stand up. So if you are a National Book Award honoree, past or present, that's a finalist, a long lister, or a National Book Award winner, 535, could you please stand right now? Thank you. Okay. All right, not done though. All right. Okay, stay standing here, because if you are a board member of the National Book Foundation, current or past, please stand up. All right. And lastly, if you are a member of the National Book Foundation staff, past or present, please join us and stand up. So, please look around. You are all part of our 75-year history. Thank you all. All right, we've got a brief video about the work that we do. That work is always guided by our mission, which I think some of you know I never get tired of reciting. And our mission is to celebrate the best literature published in the United States, expand its audience, and ensure that books have a prominent place in our culture. Thank you, everybody.
The National Book Award embodies a value seldom fully expressed or realized, the value of creative power itself.
This is a luminous novel.
Half of it is literally hard labor, spent searching for the right words to suit an event over which one has had no control in the first place.
And through the ruthless intimacy of literature,
a craft that appears solitary but needs another for its completion.
And certainly all too frequently it has been the writer and not the politician who has been the truer friend of liberty.
Books have exalted me and helped me discover more of myself. That is the power of a story well told.
But I had a wonderful teacher in elementary school who told me, read, my child, read. And I tried to read everything.
Books are us. Books are our ideas, our heart. Books are a place where we can imagine. They're like our first steps towards changing the world.
They contain counter histories to the stories that were told about us. They are useful in building movements. They are useful in inspiring future generations. They have a transformative power to them.
The National Book Foundation has broadened people's ideas about what good literature is, where good stories come from. They're open to all the books and all the stories and all the writers. The National Book Foundation is bringing attention to communities that have not been represented in literature. And that culture of reading is enlarging our capacity for empathy. And hopefully that has real-world repercussions.
There's no better way to connect writers to their audiences. The National Book Foundation helped bridge that gap. So you don't have to be in the major cities to see an author at the peak of their talent and their abilities.
It's obvious to me that the National Book Foundation cares about capturing the totality of the American experience. It doesn't exist everywhere in the literary world. And even within the National Book Foundation, that has been a process. We're seeing that as the juries diversify, so do the nominees. And in fact, so does what we learn about the American experience.
When you look at all of the books that have been honored by the National Book Awards, their breadth and their depth, and just the sheer range of titles and genres, there's a sense of an eagerness to look beyond the ordinary and the obvious, to keep pushing the boundaries. It's not just celebrating the books and readers of today, but also the readers of tomorrow. There's a real joined-upness in the way the foundation operates to promote and support access to books for those who might not have it.
It does kind of fulfill some of that early childhood dream of wanting to be a team. This is the team that I can claim, and that's Team Book.
Being a part of Team Book, it just makes you feel like you're not the only one that loves books, that wants to open those books up and learn more.
Being part of Team Book is being part of a community standing up and cheering for books. To say they're powerful and important and critical and essential. For the next 75 years, the National Book Foundation will keep celebrating the best books published in the United States. We'll keep bringing writers and books to readers all over the country. And we'll keep leaning into how can we most expansively and most inclusively think about that work.
Literature provides us with things that no other art form does. We need readers, we need books to help lead us and inform us, and the National Book Foundation can play a crucial role in all of that.
Hard times are coming when we will be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives.
But the storyteller cannot afford to forget and must always be ready to hold himself or herself to account.
It's about making it possible for the entitled as well as the dispossessed to experience one's own mind dancing with another's.
To live over the course of a few pages in the experiences of another, and to create a world where we can all be free.
Welcome to the stage, Ruth Dickey, Executive Director of the National Book Foundation.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, is this on? Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. I love in the video hearing Jose and Jen talk about what it means to them to be part of Team Book. And as I look around this room tonight, I see so many incredible members of Team Book, joined by thousands of readers tuning in online from around the country and around the world. Together, we are the people who believe that books matter and who help connect them with readers of all ages in all corners of the country. Thank you for being part of the best team. As we just heard Ursula K. Le Guin say so aptly, hard times are coming when we will be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives. As we witness and battle mounting book bans and attacks on free expression, we know that hard times are not only coming, but they are here already. And we all want and need the perspectives, possibilities, and empathy that books can inspire. We must come together to stand up for books for the next 75 years and beyond. At NBF, we launched a new teacher fellowship prioritizing states with the most book bans. We've distributed over 2 million new books to young people and families living in public housing communities. Yeah. And over the past 5 years, we've brought free books and free program events with National Book Award honored writers to all 50 states, DC, and Puerto Rico. But we truly cannot do this work without you. So if you believe in the power of literature, we need each and every one of you to invest in the future of books and readers. You'll find QR codes on your tables as well as paper envelopes, and we'll have collection boxes and staff at the door as you leave tonight to help collect any physical donations. Your support of any amount will help us stand up for books and reach readers all year long. Hard times are coming. We need you, and books need all of us. So as you make your donations, which I hope you do, I'd love to thank just a few more people. Immense thanks to tonight's host, Kate McKinnon, for bringing much needed laughter to tonight's celebrations. Huge thanks also to our special guest, Jon Batiste, for the gift of his music. Thank you to the National Book Foundation Board of Directors, Book Council, Host Committee, and After Party Committee for your time and leadership. I love the screens. Thank you to the Empire State Building for helping mark 75 years by lighting up National Book Foundation blue. Many thanks to Really Useful Media, our partners both on the beautiful video you just saw and on tonight's broadcast. Thanks to C-SPAN, and thanks to our designers, Chips and Jar Fong. Last but not least, thank you to the volunteers, interns, and small but mighty staff of the National Book Foundation. And I'm going to tell you all their names because I want them spoken in the room. Huge thanks, Ale Romero, Eileen Eng, Emily Lovett, Erica Hattori, Juliana Lee Marino, Lily Santiago, Natalie Green, Meg Tansey, Megan Reynolds, and Ricardo Meisel. And special extra thanks to Madeline Shelton, our Senior Manager of Awards and Honors. And also a huge thank you to Meredith Andrews, who after 29 years with the National Book Foundation will celebrate her final National Book Award ceremony on staff this evening. Can we give them all a round of applause? And now it's my great honor to welcome back to the stage the one and only Jon Batiste.
Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing. 'Cause you know that our time is coming up. So let's soak up the days and dance the night away. So with all you've got, don't stop. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing. 'Cause you know that our time is coming up. Let's soak up the day and dance the night away. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift. The baffled king composed it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing. 'Cause you know that our time is coming up. So with all you've got, don't stop. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be in that number. Let me hear you. Yeah. Everybody to your feet.
I have to say, guys, I'm feeling some things I haven't felt in a while. Inspiration, hope, good. And now I have the pleasure of kicking off the final chapter of this evening's program. Hello, the presentation of the 2024 National Book Awards. Okay, so guys, not everyone knows this, but part of what makes this evening so special is that none of us, except for each category's judges, know who the winners of the National Book Awards are in advance. Nobody! Earlier today, the 5 judges in each awards category made their final decisions, and tonight we will hold our breath in anticipation as the award winners are announced live from the stage by each panel chair. The winners are going to be presented in reverse alphabetical order. That's young people's literature, then translated literature, and then poetry, and then nonfiction, and then finally fiction. The awards categories in the panel chairs will each be introduced by the voice of a fellow book lover who's helping us celebrate from afar. So first up, okay, we have the finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Young People's Literature. And that's going to be introduced by the voice of actor, comedian, and writer Jenny Slate. Let's go.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank my fellow judges at table 72. Rose Brock, Huda Fahmy, Leah Johnson, and Mike Jung for their commitment, passion, and heart throughout this incredibly rewarding experience. Our collective insight as authors, educators, and booksellers allowed for some profound discussions and consensus building to meet the criteria that we set for ourselves at the very beginning of this journey. I would also like to thank all of you incredible authors in this room. I've been a bookseller for almost 35 years. I worked with the legendary Glenn Goldman at Book Soup, which is where I started in Los Angeles. And for those 3 decades, I have shared your books. You've given the gifts of your writing with generations of book lovers, and you've allowed readers of all ages to see themselves and each other through your creativity. And it has made my chosen career incredibly fulfilling and impactful. My fellow booksellers, educators, librarians, and teachers are on the front line every single day in this country, facing termination, facing all sorts of horrible situations where the joy of their lives and their careers is being stopped. And it's because of the books that we share, the books that share empathy, the books that share joy, the books that share understanding, books that you've written, books that so many other wonderful authors have written. The finalists for the National Book Award for Young People's Literature, all of these authors did exactly that. They are Violet Duncan, Buffalo Dreamer, Nancy Paulson Books, and Penguin Random House. Josh Galarza, the great Cool Ranch Dorito in the Sky, Henry Holden Company, BYR, Macmillan Publishers. Aaron Entrada Kelly, The First State of Being, Green Willow Books, HarperCollins Publishers. Shifa Saltagi Safadi, Kareem Between, G.P. Putnam's Sons Books for Young Readers, Penguin Random House, Angela Shante, The Unboxing of a Black Girl, Page Street Publishing. And this year's National Book Award for Young People's Literature goes to Kareem Between. Shifa Saltagi Safadi, author.
Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Thank you to Allah for blessing me with this dream come true and honoring me with the ability to uplift my deen and ummah and beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you, National Book Foundation, the Young People's Literature judges, and everyone involved in making this beautiful event happen. To my fellow nominees, it has been inspiring to read your words along mine, and I pored over your books with great admiration. Thank you to my sister for watching my kids so I can be here. It was not an easy task. There are 4 of them. My parents for always believing in me. They came from Syria to give us a better life. And it was a struggle with the new culture and language, and they showed us what it looked like to be strong, proud Muslims. I wouldn't be who I am without my parents. Thank you. Thank you to my siblings, my in-laws, my family, my community for all their continued support. Thank you to my husband for being the best life partner, for being a dua come true, for being the reason I'm up here today, because I would not be an author without him. Thank you to my kids, my biggest inspiration, motivation, and the greatest gift from Allah. I am most proud of being their mother, and I also promised my son I would say this: go Chicago Bears! Writing is a team effort. Thank you to everyone on Kareem Between's dream team. My agent, Janine Lee, who loved Kareem from the very first read and champions all my work with compassion and care. My brilliant editor, Ruth Tarimas, who truly infuses magic in every edit and whose insight makes every word and my heart shine. And shout out to her, 2 years ago, she was here with Sabah Tahir as well. She's that awesome. Thank you to Simone Roberts-Payne, Jen Loja, Jen Klonsky, Nancy Mercado, and every single person at Penguin Young Readers who helped Kareem Between debut in this world. And a special thank you to my publicist, Sierra Pergosin, as well as the school and library team for fiercely advocating for Kareem and loving this book. Thank you to the many wonderful people who have encouraged me along the way, and specifically, thank you to the Muslim authors who stepped forward first and paved the way for me to be inspired to follow my dream of writing. I would not have had the bravery of writing my first words if I had not seen Muslim books on the shelf. I would never have believed I could do it if I had not read the words of people before me who showed me what it looks like. So often I saw books where Muslims were the villains, and I'm glad I finally got to write a story where we're the heroes. Kareem Between started off as a historical fiction narrative, a story about justice, about standing up against racism, about being proud of who you are, a story about something that happened 8 years ago. But it's not historical fiction anymore, and it does not apply to only that time or only the Muslim ban. And our work did not stop in 2020. In fact, dehumanization of Arabs and Islamophobia has been rising more than ever in this past year to justify a genocide of the Palestinian people. Justice and freedom is for all people. All of our liberations are tied together. from people in Gaza, in Sudan, in Congo, in Syria, and every corner of the world, to people here in America and deep within our hearts. Change starts with each of us. We have to stand together, protest injustice no matter where it is, and continue to speak the truth, even when we're afraid of the future. And as one of my favorite picture books says, bravery comes with shaky hands. So be brave and free Palestine!
Congratulations to the winner of the 2024 National Book Award for Young People's Literature. And now, for the finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Translated Literature, introduced by the voice of director, actor, and author, Ethan Hawke.
Literature and translation is our gateway to the world. Translated into English from Arabic, French, Mandarin Chinese, and Swedish, the finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Translated Literature grapple with the global rise in book banning, explore the cultural erasure and resistance of indigenous families, and consider the search for truth and stability amidst political unrest. In these novels, protagonists form cross-cultural friendships and fight to survive unspeakable violence. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Translated Literature is Jhumpa Lahiri, a bilingual writer and translator whose debut story collection, Interpreter of Maladies, was awarded the 2000 Pulitzer Prize in Fiction.
Good evening. The game of translation, the stakes of translation, the travail of translation, the hard work of travel through the boundless space of a book on the other side of the border. Go expecting trouble, go out prepared. I cite the legendary Rosemary Waldrop, poet, translator, and co-founder of Burning Deck Press, to remind us of what a risky endeavor translation is. Translation has never been easy, but it has always been a necessary form of resistance to hegemonic forces. It is thanks to translation that literature, by means of linguistic migration, can freely communicate, circulate, and endure. Over the past 6 months, we have read books composed in 33 languages. Certain themes stood out: portraits of loneliness, the human cost of war and colonial oppression, and a world on the brink of environmental disaster. I would like to salute my fellow panel members for the intelligence and range of perspectives they brought to each of our meetings, and for the time and energy spent considering these books. Aaron Aji, Jennifer Croft, Gary Lovely, and Julia Sanchez. We as a group would like to thank Ruth Dickey and Madeline Shelton at the National Book Foundation for steering us through the process. We are grateful to the National Book Foundation for continuing to celebrate contemporary literature composed in languages other than English, and to reward two creative writers together, the author of one book and the translator who transforms it into another. Though in this case, one of the books had two translators. I would just like to acknowledge that. Last but not least, we hail independent publishers and small presses. For continuing to serve as the main port of entry for translated literature in the United States. As the discourse of closed borders intensifies in this country and others, we applaud their efforts to center foreign titles on their lists and to enable translators to practice their unique, crucial labor. The finalists in this category are Bothena El-Essa, The Book Censor's Library, translated from the Arabic by Rania Abdelrahman and Sawad Hussein, Restless Books. Linnea Axelsson, Adnan, translated from the Swedish by Saskia Vogel, Knopf, Penguin Random House. Fiston Maza Mujila, The Villain's Dance, translated from the French by Roland Glasser, Deep Vellum Publishing. Yáng Shuāng-Zǐ, Taiwan Travelouge, translated from the Mandarin Chinese by Lin King, Grey Wolf Press. And Samar Yazbek, Where the Wind Calls Home, translated from the Arabic by Larry Price, World Editions. And the winners of the 2024 National Book Award in Translated Literature are Yáng Shuāng-Zǐ and Lin King for Taiwan Travelouge.
有些人会问我，为什么要书写100年前的事情？我总是回答，书写过去是为了走向未来。100年前就有台湾人说，台湾是台湾人的台湾。100年后，今天的台湾人也说这句话，但是我们对话的对象并不相同。100年前，我们对日本人这么说；100年后的今天，我们对中国人这么说。这100年来，不变的是，我们一直面对着身边有强大而且具备侵略性的一个国家。与此同时，台湾人自己内部的国家认同、族群认同也很不相同。现在有些人会认为自己是中国人，就好像是100年前，有些台湾人会觉得自己是日本人。我书写是为了回答台湾人究竟是什么人，而我持续的书写过去，是想要迎向更好的未来。Thank you.
This is what she just said, sorry. Yeah, okay. Some people ask me why I write about things from 100 years ago. I always tell them, writing about the past is a means of moving toward the future. More than a century ago, some Taiwanese people began making the assertion, Taiwan belongs to the Taiwanese. Today, many Taiwanese continue to assert this, but now we are addressing it to a different audience. Before, we were saying it to the Japanese. Now, we are saying it to the Chinese. For more than a century in between, Taiwan has never stopped facing the threat of invasion from another powerful nation. Meanwhile, internally, the Taiwanese have a complicated relationship to our own national and ethnic identities. Some of us still identify as Chinese, just as how some of us used to identify as Japanese. I, Shuāng-Zǐ, write in order to answer the question of what is a Taiwanese person. I write about Taiwan's past as a step into its future. And thank you so much to the National Book Foundation for recognizing us, which I think we both feel is a recognition for the place that we come from, Taiwan. And thank you so much to Grey Wolf Press, especially our editor, Yuka Igarashi, for believing in us. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the winners of the 2024 National Book Award for Translated Literature. And now, for the finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Poetry, introduced by the voice of singer-songwriter, actor, and author Janelle Monáe.
Poetry helps us make sense of our complex lives, illuminating the mundane and untangling the extraordinary. The finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Poetry reflect on the inner workings of the human mind and the creation of meaning. Ruminate on silence, endurance, and the ongoing erasure of Palestinian people. And contemplate inheritance, home, and indigenous identity in the United States. These works investigate the power and shortcomings of contemporary poetry, while simultaneously reclaiming language as a tool for survival, one that is essential to poets and readers alike. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Poetry is Richard Blanco, the 5th presidential inaugural poet in U.S. history and the recipient of the 2023 National Humanities Medal.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. As my Cuban mother would say, tremenda fiesta, no? Right? This is such a beautiful evening. It's my first time at this award ceremony, and it's such a beautiful, amazing space and energy. It's been an amazing privilege, to say the least, to serve as chair and judge. And a fantastic journey, really. A journey into the essences of the poets that we read. A journey into the very vibrancy of what American poetry is all about. As well as, and very importantly, an unforgettable journey alongside my fellow distinguished judges. 4 immensely talented, sensitive, and insightful poets that have changed my life. Let us all give each of them our heartfelt thanks. Carolyn Forche. And if you're here, like, wave your hand. I haven't seen some of them. Taimba Jess. Amy Nezuku Matatil. And Rena Priest. One of the things that I learned of serving as a chair or as a judge is that we have bonded for life around something that is really important to us. And that is another great gift of what the National Book Foundation does for us. Their dedicated passion and work, coupled with the mission of the National Book Foundation, serve to uplift poetry's life-questioning, life-affirming, and life-enriching power, which, of course, we especially need during these tumultuous times, a cliche that has actually come back to life. when we most need poetry, to serve as a consolation, to guide us through our storms of hatred and despair, toward horizons of reconciliation and hope. In the words of June Jordan, to tell the truth is to become beautiful, to begin to love yourself, value yourself. And that's political in its most profound way. We were quite impressed, of course, in many ways, in many respects, by the hundreds of collections that we thoughtfully considered. And we were especially awed by the incredible breadth and diversity of the many voices, styles, subjects, themes that we encountered. It thrills me to say, or to report, that without a doubt, the state of poetry is indeed alive and well. And thank goodness, and thanks to the courageous and encouraging work of the many poets we deliberated. Especially, of course, those that were shortlisted and the finalists of tonight, all of whom moved us profoundly in different and very important ways. The finalists for the National Book Award for Poetry are Ann Carson for Wrong Norma, New Directions Publishing, Fadi Judah for Bracketed Ellipses. I know, I feel it with you. For Milkweed Editions, MS Red Cherries, for Mother Penguin Books, Penguin Random House, Diane Seuss for Modern Poetry, Grey Wolf Press, Lena Khalaf Tuffaha for Something About Living, University of Akron Press. Drum roll. And this year's National Award for Poetry goes to Lena Khalaf. I don't even need to finish the name.
Okay, they were right, it's heavy. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good morning to beloved Gaza, where it is the 411th day of the genocide. I was actually thinking of sharing that quote that Richard did from one of my heroes, June Jordan, who talks about loving yourself enough to become beautiful, to tell the truth. And we are now living in the second November of the American-funded genocide in Palestine. I hope that every one of us can love ourselves enough to stand up and to make it stop. Our service is needed as writers. Our service is needed as human beings. In every room, in every space, especially where there is something to risk, where there is an opportunity to be lost, where that courage will really cost you. That's what's most needed. I don't want to write anything that is a consolation. I don't want to console. I want us to feel just a tiny fraction more than we do in our deeply comfortable American lives, despite all the pain and suffering that is here too. I want us to feel and be uncomfortable and be disoriented and be angry and get up and demand that any administration, no matter what letter it has at the end of its name, D, R, whatever, that any administration that we pay for should stop funding and arming a genocide in Gaza. My father's name was Musa Khalaf. He was born in Jerusalem, Palestine in 1938. He sat me down at age 5 and told me the story of the homeland he couldn't live in anymore. And that story has carried me through my entire life, has driven me, has motivated me. I'm proud to stand here today and to accept this honor as a Palestinian American on behalf of all the deeply beautiful Palestinians that this world has lost, and in honor of all those miraculous ones who endure, waiting for us to wake up. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the winner of the 2024 National Book Award for Poetry. And now for the finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Nonfiction, introduced by the voice of singer-songwriter, actor, and author Demi Lovato.
Nonfiction gives us a roadmap to the past, present, and ultimately a more hopeful future. The finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Nonfiction immerse us in the fraught lives of human smugglers at the U.S.-Mexico border, examine the fracturing of a progressive church as it seeks to embrace anti-racism, and scrutinize our harmful relationships to bodies and to fatness. These works offer deeply intimate meditations on grace, revenge, life, and death, and explore one family's displacement within the United States across generations to integrate the very idea of American history and American identity. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Nonfiction is Tressie McMillan Cottom, a professor at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and 2020 MacArthur Fellow.
And now, let's please welcome to the stage nonfiction judge Timothy Morton.
Well, Hello, everybody. Hi. I'm not Tressie Cotton. Hi. Thank you for laughing about that. My name is Tim, and as you can tell from my accent, I'm from Texas. Thank you for laughing again. So the English people started this whole America business, didn't we? And I think I ought to take this opportunity to apologize. But that's the whole point of the thing we call nonfiction, isn't it? Now, I don't mean that you have to be from Texas to write nonfiction, or that you have to be an apologetic Brit. I mean, sometimes reality doesn't turn out the way we expect, and we need witnesses to that. We need to figure out our bearings. We need to learn how to feel into a new situation, to live with it, to change it. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. And in these daunting and turbulent times, we need strong minds and souls to encounter the world as it is, to take risks, and do what it takes to disclose that world to us, no matter what. Social media already knows what stuff means. Conspiracy theories already know who we are. The whole point of nonfiction is to jump into the unknown with a full heart and to share that unknown with everyone so that we can make the future be different from the past. The books we chose were uniquely powerful in taking the reader on a journey into the unexpected real. From a close-up study of human smuggling that doesn't let up in its exploration of the human desire for freedom, to a painfully moving account of a Christian community trying to figure out how to work with the inclusion and exclusion on the deepest levels. From a feminist philosophical intervention in the global competition to dominate, discipline, and medicalize bodies for profit and politics, to a book that starts with assassination and ends with an uneasy mercy, to a book that evokes another America, a world of indigenous people existing before and alongside the one we know too well. Being a part of judging this award was so important to me that I took my own book, Hell, in bookstores now, out of the running. It was so good. No, but really, the panel had no difficulty choosing the actual finalists. We were of one mind throughout our months of deliberation, and I'm so touched and grateful to all of them for the journey we went on. I'd like to thank the other 4 judges from the bottom of my heart. Brenda J. Child, Tressie McMillan Cotton, yeah, Anand Giridharath, and Arvind Ramgulam. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I'm a scholar, I don't get out much, and I like to see the overlaps between people, not the contrasts. And being on this committee was all about overlaps. We had so much more in common than stuff that divided us. We are all grateful to the National Book Award, and in particular to Ruth Dickey and Madeleine Shelton for their guidance and wisdom through this process. And we were absolutely unanimous in selecting our 5 finalists. The finalists for the National Book Award for Nonfiction are Jason De León, Soldiers and Kings, Survival and Hope in the World of Human Smuggling, Viking Books, Penguin Random House. Eliza Griswold, Circle of Hope, A Reckoning with Love, Power and Justice in an American Church, Farrar, Straus and Giroux, Macmillan Publishers. Kate Mann, Unshrinking. How to Face Fat Phobia, Crown, Penguin Random House. Salman Rushdie, Knife. Meditations After an Attempted Murder, Random House, Penguin Random House. Deborah Jackson Taffa, Whiskey Tender. HarperCollins Publishers. And the winner is Jason De León.
My children will be very sad to know I didn't get to hug Kate McKinnon. That was the... But maybe that's still a possibility, though. If you manifest it, it will come. My editor said, you got to write something in case this happens. And so I went and wrote something, and I'm not supposed to even be up here, but I'm grateful to be up here. Thank you to the National Book Foundation and the judges for putting me up here, to my fellow finalists, long listers, short listers, who've all reminded me that I still have a pretty good bout of imposter syndrome. This book, Soldiers and Kings, was a janky little anthropological project about a bunch of banged up and beaten up, down people who refused to give up hope. And it all started with this kid named Juan Roberto Paredes, Chino, who said to me, how come no one listens to us? And I wish that he was here today, because I think he'd get a kick out of the fact that people are listening to his words now. And this award is for him, Jesmyn and Flaco, Santos, Almo, Marina, Kingston, Papo, and everyone out there on the migrant trail trying to make ends meet and trying to do the right thing while keeping hope alive. Thanks to all my peeps at the Undocumented Migration Project. We'll see you in Arivaca, Arizona pretty soon. Thanks to the Bigham family, including my mother-in-law, Barbara, for watching the kids right now. I want to give a shout out to the Wonderland crew, who we couldn't have written this book without singing karaoke to Natalie Imbruglia. So Trent, Amy, Denny, and the kids, thank you. Mike Wells, whose photo's on the front of this book. You're my brother. My other brother, Jeff Vasel, love you so much. My mom, Margaret Anderson, who always said, just do what you love, and that's all that matters. Austin Shipman and Perla Torres, who keep fighting the good fight. Kate Marshall, for teaching me how to write and to love it. My wonderful therapist, Teresa Locasio. This book broke me in half, and she reminded me and showed me that there's a lot of darkness and pain that I've been running from my whole life, and she helped me duct tape myself back together so that I can move forward happily in this world and to not lose sight of how the past shapes our future. The folks at Viking, amazing, just made this whole thing. Paloma Ruiz, Sarah Leonard, Julia Rickard, Kate Berner, Aya Phillips, these folks who just do the work of the book making, which is so important, and I just feel like I want to recognize that this is a team effort, this whole thing. So. When I was trying to pick a press, they kept saying, don't pick it based on an editor because your editor will probably leave. And I said, well, I wanted to go with Viking, partly because I love John Steinbeck, but more importantly because I loved meeting my future editor, Emily Wunderlich, who is, from the very beginning, I was like, I want to work with her. I wouldn't be here without her trust, guidance, and that magic wand that those editors wave over our shitty manuscripts. I have deep gratitude for my people at Brockman for representing me, especially Margot Beth Fleming, who is like, it took 30 seconds for me to be like her, in my corner all the time. My first reader, my life coach, fellow curmudgeon, all the things. She believed in this book before it even started. So thank you, Margot, for everything. And I got a lot of half-baked book ideas I'm about to pitch you pretty soon again, so it's coming. My brilliant, kind, funny, beautiful, and very patient wife, Abigail Bigham, I love you so much. I cannot sum up everything that I feel for you. I would not be here. You were, from the very beginning, you're my world. And so I'm glad to be here with you. And that's thank you. And last but not least, my two kids, Iggy and Lorenzo, who are probably watching either Lord of the Rings or Kate McKinnon SNL Close Encounter skits. They were the most excited about that, and they were like, can you get an autograph or a video or a photo? So I might ask for one more of those things, if you manifest it. But I just want to say that, like, those little guys, they inspire me every day, and they remind me that I refuse to live in a world without hope, and I will not not accept the dystopian American future of unchecked corruption, border walls, misogyny, mass deportations, transphobia, climate change denial, and all this other garbage that this incoming administration wants to propagate and profit from. I will not accept that. We will not accept that. We will not. So I have more hope now than ever before. And these storytellers that I'm so grateful to be in this room with, I know that you will help us find our way. And so my kids have this band called the War Pigs. I play bass in it. I'm pretty lucky to be in this band. They're about to kick me out once they find someone who can play bass. But to quote them, they would say, you know what, we need to go read some banned books. So let's all go read some banned books. We're gonna need them into the future in these tough times ahead. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the winner of the 2024 National Book Award for Nonfiction. And now for the finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Fiction, introduced by the voice of Golden Globe and Emmy Award-winning actor Sandra Oh.
Fiction invites us to shift our perspective and imagine realities outside of our own. The finalists for the 2024 National Book Award for Fiction introduce us to protagonists who attempt to outrun the ghosts of their ancestors, contemplate the martyrdom found in art itself, and reclaim their own narrative and humanity directly from the oppressor's text. Through reading, we see these characters grapple with monotony and mortality, and what it means to remain loyal to people in a place that you left behind. Collectively, the 2024 finalists critique, center, and celebrate the written word. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Fiction is Lauren Groff, a 3-time National Book Award finalist for fiction and the author of, most recently, The Vaster Wilds.
Well, hello. I've never seen this view before. It's spectacular. For so many of us, this has been a hard year, telescoping now at the end into further darkness. I've heard people I love in their despair questioning the worth of reading or writing fiction during times like these. I do understand the urge to turn away from pleasure. It feels sinful when one thinks of the suffering of others. It can feel like escapism. Yet I believe that art is the refinement of all that is good and noble and worthy in humanity, and that denying art, denying pleasure, is denying the best part of who we are, the divinity that burns like an ember inside each fragile human chest. The narrative drive is what pushed humans out of primordial tree dwelling and into communities so strong that they can protect the vulnerable. And fiction is a way to come at the truth without staring directly at it, the way we shouldn't stare at the sun during an eclipse or we risk burning our retinas. Fiction teaches us all the reasons why we must care for one another. Turning away from pleasure, from art, from fiction is tantamount to turning away from the reasons why we fight for more dignity, more equality, more love for other human beings in this world. The 2024 National Book Awards Fiction Panel was a feast of love. Through health crises and technological gremlins and apocalyptic political moments, this jury kept its cool, its generosity, and its willingness to remain open to the sometimes forceful opinions of others. We worked beautifully together to make a strong long list, brilliant short list, and absolutely radiant winner. Thank you to my fellow judges, Jamie Ford, Zane Jukadar, Chawa Maganya, and Reginald McKnight. One brief note to the finalists. I've been where you are, and I want to tell you, though you may not be able to hear me through all the blood pounding in your ears right now, I hope you take the knowledge into the world beyond this evening that every single one of you deserves to win this award. We thank you for giving your gifts to us. Now, the finalists for the National Book Award for Fiction are Pemi Aguda, Ghost Roots, Norton, W.W. Norton and Company, Kaveh Akbar, Martyr, Knopf, Penguin Random House, Percival Everett, James, Doubleday, Penguin Random House, Miranda July, All Fours, Riverhead Books, Penguin Random House, Hisham Attar, My Friends, Random House, Penguin Random House. And the winner of this year's National Book Award in Fiction is Percival Everett for James.
If there were a few horses in here, I'd feel a lot better. I want to thank the National Book Foundation and the judges for putting their reputations on the line here. Just like Kate, I'm not very good at this, so I did appeal to the chat GPT, and then I asked the Apple Intelligence on my phone to improve it, and then I gave it a pass to Siri, and Alexa fixed it up. And they came up with this: now is the time for all good people to come to the aid of the party. Though this is no doubt very true, it's a terrible acceptance speech, and I apologize. It's just another illustration that artificial intelligence is no substitute for the real thing. 2 weeks ago, I was feeling pretty low. And to tell the truth, I still feel pretty low. And as I look out at this, so much excitement about books, I have to say I do feel some hope. But it's important to remember, and I said it last night, is that hope really is no substitute for strategy. James has been nicely received in the U.S., and I owe a lot of thanks to my publisher, Bill Thomas. To my editor, Lee Boudreau. To my sadistic publicist, Michael Goldsmith. And to everyone at Doubleday. And I have to say that I also owe some thanks to Grey Wolf Press. And my editor there for 30 years, Fiona McCrae. And with great affection, someone I call the mob boss, my agent, Melanie Jackson, who just tonight asked me, how many hours did you spend on the new novel? And I have to thank my teenage sons, Henry and Miles, whose near complete apathy about my career helps me keep things in perspective. And as always, my best friend and wife, Danzy Senna. Thank you.
Well, you know, that was it. That was the whole thing. And I feel personally edified, and I think we all do. So thank you to everyone who shared from their mouth and mind and heart tonight, especially to Jon Batiste. And congratulations to all the finalists and all the winners, and thank you for all being here. And let's get back to work.